And we're live. Hi, good morning, everyone. Um, if you can hear, me, just say hi in the chat box, or you can raise your hand or something. Okay, thank you, Marsh. Okay, thank you, Adebola Adekomi. Okay, all right. So welcome everyone on today's webinar session. With me, I have Odinaka Eziobele. Hi, Odinaka.
Hello.
Hi. So she's our facilitator for today. But before I introduce her and then we go right straight into the business of today, I would like to talk about first, let me even introduce myself. I'm Christiana Adebayo. I'm the E and the legal support at LSCTF. And LSCTF, what do we do? What are we about? I know some people joining online, you already know what we do at LSCTF, but just for people that join us for the very first time. So LSCTF stands for Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. We were established in 2016, and our mandate is simple, is to create an enabling environment for job and wealth creation in Lagos State. So basically, we're all about creating employment. That's it. And wealth creation. And then how do we do this? We fulfill this mandate by promoting entrepreneurship through various initiatives. One of these initiatives are access to finance program. This is where we have our loan program. We offer loans to support MSMEs in Lagos State. So we have the MEs and SMEs in terms of category. So, but basically we offer loans from 50,000 to 5 million naira. So if you're interested, you can log into loans@lstf.ng or just go on to www.lstf.ng. You would have all the information there. So, and I think it's important to note that these loans are given at a single-digit interest rate, and that's 9% per annum. Yeah. So I don't think you get that anywhere. So we give out loans. If you want to take your business to the next level, I need a bit of support, then please log into www.lstf.ng. The requirements are simple: your lateral ID, for your lateral ID, your BVN, your passport. You need to have your tax ID, of course, and then evidence of tax payments. I know this also relates to, in terms of we also need CSC registration, but that's for SMEs. So if you are for MES, those are entitled to. So ME is from 50, MES, that's for micro enterprise status, is from 50,000 to 250,000 there. So for that, you don't need a CSC registration. All you just have to show is that you've undergone training in that area or in that business you are into. So let's assume, for example, you know how to make hair. All you just have to show is a certificate or a training set just to show that, okay, yes, you can actually, you are, I wouldn't call it an expert, but at least you've been trained in that sector. So you'll be entitled to a loan. I've made mention of it, 50,000 to 5 million naira. And then another of our initiatives to support Lagos State residents is employability program. That's an employability program, the Lagos State Employability Support Program. This is where we empower the youth through knowledge and skills acquisition. So it's not just about the 9 to 5 or business. If you need skills to make you market relevant, so Lagos State is here for you. You can go onto our website to www.lstf.ng. We conduct trainings. We're in partners with some VTCs and a couple of, I know we're in partnership with USADF, JIZ, and a host of others. This is just to ensure that we tackle the unemployment scourge among the youths. So by helping them gain market relevant knowledge and skills, so through vocational trainings, internship placements, and complementary soft skills training. So I know as at last month, we've trained over 18,817 persons. And that's really, really amazing and impressive. So this training is not restricted to a particular sector. We cover a wide range of sectors such as the creative industry, beauty, construction, fashion, hospitality, technology, renewable energy, education, soft skills trainings, and the like. So these are so many other things that we do. Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot to mention that we also have a platform. It's something like Coursera and Alison. I don't know if I'm sure everyone is aware of this, right? I don't know. I don't like talking to myself. I just like to at least know I'm talking to people and they can hear me. So if you know about Coursera or Allison, you can just raise up your hand and you've actually accessed this site. Okay, thank you, Femi. Thank you very much. So we have something like that at LSCTF. It's called our e-learning platform. So it's free. You get your certificate. All you just have to do is I think you help us put the link on the screen. Our IT support will help with that. So the website says you can log into elearning.lsctf.ng. I'll take that again, elearning.lsctf.ng. So then we have different trainings that you can undergo. It's just subscription just to make you market relevant, just to put you out there, and you can include it in your CV for those that are still looking for your jobs, just to show that you have the relevant market skills to thrive in the economy. And then I would also make mention of another of our initiatives, that's the Lagos Innovate. Do we have any tech bro and tech sis in the house? Tech bros, tech sis? Or it's just, oh, Marsh, thank you very much. I would have loved to ask, is it a tech bro or a tech sis? But I think I'll go with tech bro. So we also got you covered. Tech bro, nice. Nice meeting you, Ayobami. Okay, so I'm sure some of you must have heard of Lagos Innovates, but just for people that have not heard of Lagos Innovates. So our Lagos Innovates is our tech arm. This is where we empower tech startups and innovation-driven enterprises to position them for growth and impact. So this is where we, for example, you are into tech and you don't even know where to start. You just know, okay, you have an idea, or you want to go into tech. LSTF is here for you. So we offer a range of services such as talent development. Here we'll train you on web development, that's web development, UI UX designs, product design and management, data analysis, just name it. So that's talent development under Lagos Innovate. Also, we have workspace vouchers. So I'm sure we're all aware that for how many days now we now have lights. Or please, if you have lights in your area, you can just raise up your hand. If you have lights in your area, that was yesterday. I think some people already have lights now. But yesterday, the day before yesterday, you can raise up your hand. You had lights. Okay. All right. I guess this up NEPA. Okay. Oh, Wahab, you had lights. Okay. Maybe we'll come and start living with you because we would not have light too. But anyway, so for our tech bros, so in case you have any issues such as, oh, there's no light, so we're in partnership with some hubs in terms of tech hubs where you can just, once you have our workspace vouchers, you can apply for that. Like I said, just go onto our website, everything is there. So we give out vouchers to tech bros, tech sis. This is for you to have access to infrastructure at reduced costs. So for example, you need to work, you don't have light, and you have any of our workspace voucher. You can go log onto our website, check any of our partner ops, walk into any one of them, show them the workspace voucher, and you can use their facilities. I know some of them free, depends on the workspace voucher that you have access to. Some of them are free, some of them just pay 25% and the like. So all these things we're doing is just to ensure that everyone is catered for. So nothing should stop you from achieving your dreams or from moving forward to, is it establishing your business? Is it being a founder? It's just to have the necessary support. So I've made mention of the workspace vouchers where you can walk into any of our, I know we have over 18 partner hubs currently in Lagos State. So I know there's one in Yaba, that's the Bob, if I'm correct. Yeah, so you can log into our website to apply for the workspace vouchers. You have access to their internet, data, laptops, name it. So, and then we also have the idea of, which is our incubation for early stage startups. So we've noticed that over time, some tech bros, I just like to make it more relatable. So I'll be using tech bros and tech sis. Some startups, they have the idea, they know what they want to do, but at times they need mentors, they need mentorship, they need mentors to actually and hold them through this stage. So this our idea of is an 8-week incubation program where we'll teach everything you need to know in terms of legal master classes, just basically how to structure your startup, how to structure your tech, your innovation, basically. And just to also ensure that your innovation does not infringe on someone else's rights. That's in terms of the legal aspect of it. And just to ensure that at least data protection, everything is covered. So these are the things we'll teach you if you're one of our beneficiaries. So like I said, all these things are free. Just apply. And if you're qualified, you'll definitely get scaled up. And there's no connection or anything. Depends on what you have. So my advice to you is just to go out there. If you have an innovation or if you have something you're doing in terms of tech and you want to make it known, LSTF is there for you. So just log on to our website and reach out to us. And then I would also like to make mention of another of our initiative, which is our job hub. So now we've noticed that over time, people get trained. For example, oh, you know how to make hair, you're trained in the aspects in the nitty-gritties of making hair, but after you're done, what next? Not everyone has that finance to get their own space, get the equipment and everything. So that is where STF comes in. We also have a job hub, which is into different sectors. So now what we have is that we have where we have similar businesses. They come together in a physical location where you can do your work. All you just have to do is bring yourself and your clients. So I would like to use, let's say, hair making, because we have a beauty hub currently at, I think, Ifakojai, yes, the Mami hub. You finish training on how to make hair, but you don't have the money to get your own shop or to get the equipment, the dryer, the equipment to make it, basically, the weave-ons and everything. So we have a hub that has all these things. So you don't have to start looking, at least at the initial stage, you don't have to start looking for money to get all these things. All you just have to do is you just go there, you bring in your clients, you make your money, and then all that, you just have to pay, I think, a discount fee or something. So basically, we're just making this as free as possible without it. I'm talking about the hubs right now. So it's just to make it accessible for everyone. Even after training, we don't just leave you, okay, you finish learning how to make hair or you're into the fashion business, you can sew, but you don't have money to buy a machine. So we have job hubs that caters for this. So we have this equipment there. Just go in there, use the facilities, and from there, you can also gather money and have your own. So that is it. And then I would like to talk about, finally, our business support units. So this is one of our initiatives. This webinar session is facilitated by our business support unit. They made this possible. Now, as the name implies, business support, what do they do? We are not just about, oh, we are giving you loans, oh, take money and everything. We're all about supporting your business. We've noticed that over time, people are entrepreneurs, but they don't have a business structure. And this does not make them, how will I put it, this does not allow them to access the necessary investors or the market space because your business does not have a structure. So that's why our business support unit is here, is to just offer you that structure. In terms of, we offer mentorship, advisory sessions, business master classes, and other business supports, basically, so that your business does not only survive, but it also thrives in this economy. I know we've supported over 10,000 businesses to date, and that's really, really impressive. So you can join us if you have a business and you want to know how to manage your business, how to distinguish your business from every businesses out there, then please sign up for any of our support sessions, our advisory sessions. This is one of them. So today now we'll be talking about climate change and how it affects our businesses. So I'd like to encourage you and every entrepreneur out there, talk to your friends, talk to everyone, let them know about what we do at LSCTF. We're here to support you. We're here to make your business, take it to the next level, basically. That would enable you to attract investors, access to market finance, grants, and the likes. So that is it on all of our initiatives. And then we'll now move on to the business of today. If you're still with me, please raise up your hand. If you're still with me, raise up your hand. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any question, put it in the chat box. We have a Q&A session after the facilitator has presented, so you would answer to them. So please, won't be entertaining question now, but definitely there's a Q&A session after the presentation by Odinaka, then you can go ahead. So thank you very much. And then, so to the business of today, why are we here today? So we want to talk about climate change as it affects your business, as it affects my business. I know there's a poll, or I think we'll be putting out a poll out there, but I would, of course, let the facilitator do all that. Let me just introduce and then we'll get on to the business of the day. So basically, what is this topic about? What do we want to see, or why are we here? We want to understand climate change. We want to discuss the current state of climate change globally and locally, the impact of climate change on MSMEs, and overview of how this of how climate change affects supply chains, operations, and profitability. And then we'll be seeing case studies showcasing the effects of extreme weather events on MSMEs. I've noticed that in this part of the world, we don't take climate change seriously. We think, oh, it doesn't affect me. I just want to make money and everything. So we're trying to change that mindset, which is why we're having this masterclass. And we have an expert to take us on this masterclass, take us on this journey. So I'll be introducing our facilitator now. She's, I think I would like to say that she's my friend now. Odinaka, can I call you my friend now?
Yeah, sure.
Been talking since yesterday. Come on. In short, by force, by fire, we are friends. You're definitely my friend now. So I'd like to introduce her. Okay. So Odinaka Eziobele. Please, am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Ezobele, but it's okay.
Eziobele. Okay. Sorry, if I may ask, what does that mean?
Small king.
Ooh. Ooh. So you're a king. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Your Highness. I'm sorry, Your Highness. I'm very, very sorry. I should have been giving you the respect you deserve. Okay, so Odinaka Ezobele, the king, or small king, is the founder of the Policy Dialogue Group. She's passionate about building cross-sector partnerships to enable clients to make sound investment decisions with sustainable outcomes. Odinaka applies strategic and systems thinking to help teams understand the market context, ensuring design solutions are market-ready, financially viable, and sustainable. So she has worked for PwC Nigeria with experience spanning from transaction advisory, assurance, formulation, and planning to business transformation and project management. She has also advised the International Finance Corporation, the World Bank, the Norwegian Investment Fund for Developing Countries, and the French Development Agency. Odinaka, hi, it's good to have you on this program.
Thank you, Christiana. It's very good to be here. I look forward to this session.
Oh, we really look forward to hearing from you. So, first, I know I've read out your professional bio, but most times I like the speaker to actually talk about themselves. So that would make us to even understand it better than what we're reading out. So, Odinaka, who is Odinaka Eziobele?
Odinaka is a girl. I enjoy reading. I enjoy writing. In my spare time, you can catch me reading a book or watching a TV show or movie. I'm also very passionate about climate change, as you can see. And for me, it's been something that I've had a passion for all my life. One of my favorite subjects growing up was geography. The first thing I said when I was growing up that I wanted to be was a meteorologist. So I've kind of always been obsessed with weather and weather patterns. Although I didn't study geology, I studied accounting, which is interesting. So that's obviously why I worked at PwC. My training is in accounting. That's where I did my charter training, and I became a chartered accountant. And there I worked in audit with businesses, reviewing companies, and that's a passion of mine. And then eventually I worked with the investment advisory arm in deals. And so basically, this was a way for me to put together, before I founded this company, I had all this experience policy is also something I'm passionate about. I have a master's in public administration, in international economic policy, as well as environmental policy and sustainability management. So I wanted to put together the Policy Dialogue Group as a consulting and research firm where we think through data and policy solutions. And obviously, climate finance, climate change is something I'm passionate about. So it's something I study, it's something I want to tell businesses about. And that's why I'm here today.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. That was really nice. Please, can we give her a round of applause wherever you are, or just show me signs that you're clapping for, because that's an impressive resume. It's really, really impressive. From accounting and how policies, climate change, that's really, really amazing. So, we'll be going right into it. Odnaka will be giving us a presentation on how to understand climate change and its impact on our business. So I don't want you to go anywhere. It's really, really going to be an interesting topic. Please believe me. It's really, really going to be an enlightening session. So I want you to sit back, relax, and then let Odnaka take us on this journey. Hi, Odnaka, over to you.
Okay, great. Let's start by putting up the poll first, just to get an understanding of who's in the audience. And before the poll, okay, well, let's answer the poll, but if you could indicate in the chat as well, how many of you here are business owners or work for a small business, and what exactly are your objectives for attending this masterclass today? What would you like to learn?
You can also give your comments or anything in the chat box.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Or what are you looking forward to in terms of this session? What are you looking forward to? What do you hope to expect from this?
Okay, while we're trying to answer the questions in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and talk through the poll. So most people, 91% of people that have answered the poll know what climate change is. About 64% said they can confidently explain it, which actually is a good sign. About 36% said I've heard about it, and no one is saying I don't know about it, which so that's good. So I think most people are comfortable, but I would still go ahead and explain what climate change is and why that matters, but I'll just do so even more briefly. Okay, I see people want to know, they're business owners, they want to understand how climate change affects the industry they serve. They want to understand how, okay, and we're going to cover all that. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain, share the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about climate change, what it is, why it matters to MSMEs, what the impacts are, what are the opportunities and challenges for MSMEs, how can they take this opportunity to adapt and thrive, and then practical strategies and tools for sustainability. And I'm going to go into what exactly sustainability is. I'm going to go. I'm not sure what happened. Yeah. So I'm going to go into what sustainability is, and finally we'll end with Q&A and just discussion and open it up for everyone. So let's start from the beginning. What exactly is the carbon cycle? Many people have heard of climate change, but may not have heard of the carbon cycle, right? The carbon cycle is a normal part of existence in terms of living things on this earth. and it's one of the the reason why the earth is warming. So so I'm going to start by explaining it through photosynthesis. We all understand that plants need sunlight, water, and CO2, carbon dioxide, to create to undergo photosynthesis and create energy for itself. And we as animals and other industrial items, we make CO2. And so what happens is the atmosphere exists in the form of carbon dioxide and methane and other greenhouse gases. And as people are growing, more demand, development is happening, the industrial revolution has happened. We're producing even more CO2 than before, right? And we're not planting enough trees to take those CO2 out of the atmosphere. As a result, the climate is warming faster than usual. So the truth is that CO2 being in the atmosphere is quite normal. There's nothing, that's a natural part of the organism and earth cycle that we live in. But because human activity is increasing, population is growing, we want more goods and services, we're now creating more need for energy and consequently more CO2 in the atmosphere. So that's what's actually leading to global warming, right? So this increased CO2 and other greenhouse gases like methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor, it's what's leading to global warming. And we can see that through our chemical plants, that's in fossil fuels, and we don't have to go into all of that. So yes, as the climate change has been happening, an effect of that is rise in sea levels and temperatures, right? We have melting polar ice, we have heat waves, we see it in weather patterns, we see it in floods. Even the ocean is acidifying as a result of so much CO2. And what the world came up with over the years, everyone recognized that this was a problem and started working towards it. As you can see, Rio had the Earth Summit as early as 1992. So this notion that climate change or talk about climate change is a new thing, it's not. There's been conference of parties trying to happen for a very long time, but a landmark was reached in 2016 when the Paris Agreement was signed. And in that agreement, countries agreed to reduce warming to 1.5 degrees a year so that we don't get to catastrophic levels. Sad to say that this goal has actually not been met. We are now warming at more than 1.5. But yes, so Nigeria is also a party to this agreement. And in the Paris Agreement, there's something called the nationally determined contributions. So each country sets what their mitigation and adaptation targets are and works towards it. As you can see, Nigeria is also a country that is vulnerable to climate change. You can see the part, this is from the Federal Ministry of Environment. The parts impacted the most are the parts in dark red. So with that being said, everyone needs to adapt to a new changing climate, whether we like it or not, whether you're an individual, whether you're a huge corporation, whether you're a small business. And that's kind of where today's class goes into. Because to think about resilience, you have to first of all say, how do I reduce this carbon? How do I mitigate the impacts of climate change? Whether that's moving to renewable energy and clean electricity, or even increasingly in more advanced countries, they're going into electric cars. And then how do I adapt my lifestyle to fit all these changes? Because if I can do that, I can be very resilient. And that brings me to what MSMEs are all about. As a business, you're small, you're flexible, you want to be you want to be efficient, and you want to be easily respond when things happen. You don't want shocks in weather patterns or climate or flash flooding to affect you. So you're now thinking about, how can I make my business flexible in this case? And that's why it makes sense. It's logical for you to adapt this climate change or this sustainability into your business. So I don't want you to think it doesn't affect me. It does affect you. And it's just smart business to do this. So here I'm talking through different impacts of climate change, how it affects us. I've spoken about extreme heat. You see people coming into the hospital for dehydration. You see babies suffering from dehydration, air and water pollution. Asthma has risen in our country. Most things, people are now allergic to things they traditionally or our grandparents were not allergic to. And so all that is because of this change in patterns that we're seeing driven by human activity, right? And so if I'm a business, I want to mitigate against that. I want to protect myself. And I also want to make money, don't get me wrong. So I'm going to go down the line how this brings cost savings down the line. So whether that's making your energy process more efficient, where do you get your energy? I was just talking to Christiana about solar. What can I use solar versus fuel? What are the benefits of doing that down the line? How am I using my water? Where is waste? How am I disposing waste in my business? Does my business create waste? For example, I may be a salon owner and you're working with attachments or extensions. How are you disposing that? Are you sustainably sourcing that? What is that doing for the overall environment? Yeah, how do I get my raw materials? Am I getting it from a sustainable source? And then we'll go into all that and some of the ways that we can check for that. So like I said, this was a survey done by the Center for Financial Inclusion in 2022. From this survey, the respondents in Nigeria don't feel that they're impacted by climate shock, which is interesting. About 14% said flood affects them, heat wave. It'll be interesting to see if this survey was done again, what they think. But the truth is that these shocks affects your business. Even the response to COVID-19 is also a way to measure how sustainable you are. What are you doing in place, putting in place to be flexible when those things happen that you're not expecting? It's just good business to think about sustainability. And in my opinion, resilience plus adaptability is equal to sustainable growth for your company. And when you start thinking about your company and what to make it sustainable, you think about environmental responsibility, you think about social responsibility. How do you employ people? What are your employment practices? How are you making your businesses economically viable? So many of you might have heard of ESG, but this is where ESG comes up, because ESG is just a set of criteria and a framework for understanding your operations that just don't have to do with profitability. And ultimately, in the short run, they may be costly, but in the long run, they help you. And so environmental refers to how your business accesses energy, waste, emissions. I've said that before. Social is how you think about your suppliers, customers, and the community you're operating in. And governance, Governance is how you comply to the laws, existing standards. And the thing with governance is when you put in good governance measures, you can unlock money for yourself. Most people don't want to invest in companies that they don't know what's going on in the business. Being a former auditor, I can tell you that if one thing investors will likely ask you for are audited financial statements, and that's because there's a sense that someone has looked at it and you're complying with the tax code. I know Christiana mentioned earlier about your tax ID. You want to comply with laws and regulation. No one wants to deal with a fraud when they are doing their business. So it's important that you put in governance structures in place. That's also a big part of being a sustainable business. And I just want to pause here so that I can take questions because I think I've said a lot.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adinaka. So any questions? You can send your questions so far from the presentation into the chat box. Okay. Okay. While we're waiting for okay, I think someone not yet. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Adinaka, for so far.
Okay.
So far, so good. Thank you very much for the presentation. And thank you for the statistics, the data you brought up and everything. It's a really so far, so good, like I said. Okay, so we have a question from Ayobami Ajayi. He said, how can a business owner, okay, let me check. How can a business owner partner with governments to provide solutions for sustainable solutions?
Okay, so okay, do you want to answer, Christian?
No, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you can I think the biggest part that government can help you with is unlocking capital, like Elias ETF knows here. And it's making sure that you're putting this sustainability principles in place, clearly communicating it, because it's one thing to be doing it, and it's another thing to be communicating it properly so that you can access and unlock this grant, small capital, and grow your business. So I think that's the major way that that government can help businesses, right? They just we don't want government in your business anyway, so they just would help facilitate the process, match you to the relevant capital, give you an incentive, but it's really up to you as the business owner to drive how you want your business to grow, and what direction you want your business to go in. So
thank you very much, Odinaka, for that. And then in addition to what she has said, like she said, it starts with you, basically. What do you want the government to see? Are you even given, do you have a structure in place that would make the government want to partner with you? So do you have a structure? Are you ESG compliant? In terms of your financials, are they accurate? Do you have a structure? Basically, do you have a structure in place? So these are the things we look at before we want to partner. There are so many RFPs, RFIs that we send out to companies. We want to partner with you, want to do this with you. Even these are business support units. I know we partner with some companies, even some business owners, just to do business with them and everything. But we've noticed that over time, you want the government to partner with you, but your business does not have a structure. So like they say, charity begins at home. First off, are you ESG compliant? Your structure, do you have a good structure in place that would make you visible even not just even the government, to private investors and everything. So it starts with you. We can partner with you. We can partner with you. We can help you in assessing finance and everything. But first, like she has presented to us, in terms of the environment, what are you doing differently from other sectors? What are you different from other businesses that will make the government to actually pick yours? So are you ESG compliant in terms of, are you reducing waste? Are you in terms of your social policies, your relations with your employees, your customers? Do you have a good client base? In terms of even in governance, my apologies, governance structure and everything, are you law compliant? Have you registered your business? There are so many things like we've said, so many things before the government can partner with you. So first thing first is you yourself, you need to have a good structure in place. So I think that's it.
Yes, and I also wanted to say that this idea of sustainability, even though it's like a new buzzword, I also think is also very African. We've seen, and I'm not encouraging this, but we've seen in those days, you reuse a wine bottle for your groundnuts. That's making sure that that doesn't go to waste, wrapping things in newspaper. So like this concept of using every bit of items that we have so that there's no waste is very much African culture and is not a new principle. So if there's one thing I want to emphasize, because there's this notion that sustainability is new and it's something someone is forcing us to do. So that I think I saw a question about how can I be profitable and still focus on climate change? Is good business practice, is efficient business practice. Yes, there are some things we have to change about our sources of energy and things like that, and what kind of suppliers we use, how are they treating, and I'll get into that and why that's a bit more complicated, because you as a business owner don't often have visibility into what your supplier is doing or where they're getting your products to do, and everyone has that problem. Also, in terms of even where you get your energy from, we're still very much a fossil fuel country. We use hydro, the dams, but so some of that may be out of your scope, but there are also things that you can do on the social aspect, how you treat your employees, and to make your business more sustainable. I think the whole idea is to be looking at this from a holistic perspective and not rushing to implement something that is necessarily fancy if it doesn't necessarily work for you at this time. So I think that's important to say. So yes, I was going through this. I was explaining that, the ESG refers to a set of criteria. Everyone knows environmental, social, and what governance is. And as Christiana was saying, governance is also a key part of this framework. Like, what structures are you putting in place and how are you communicating it to your stakeholders? Those things matter, and we don't have to see sustainability as only just I'm using this renewable energy source. I mean, that's the key part, but sometimes as small businesses, that's not what you can control. So I just want to make sure I say that. Okay, so I've been saying all this. Now I'm just getting to how this can be done practically. So I've been talking about carbon in the atmosphere, trying to remove carbon, heating, and assessing your carbon footprint. And many would say, how can I exactly assess this? And I want to go through something called the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. This was put together by a bunch of stakeholders, including an organization known as the World Resources Institute. I think BP was one of them. I forget the other big company, but they worked with corporate partners and NGOs and other stakeholders to come up with what are the levels of emissions in our system or in our atmosphere, and how companies can think through that. And that's what the greenhouse gas protocol is all about. And in the greenhouse gas protocol, there are 3 scopes. So scope 1, which we've talked all about, which is probably the easiest to tackle, is direct emissions. Where your company owned assets, like your vehicles, your cars, your trucks, your machines, what kind of fuel are they using, where are you getting it from? Again, even though this is the easiest to take care of, this is also something you may not have control of, being in Nigeria and our primary energy source being fossil fuels and things like that. So we may still need to go out there and buy fuel. There's nothing we can do. So I don't want people to be pulling their hair out about that. Then scope 2, where do you get your heating, ventilation, and cooling for your electricity? What's your office buildings, factories, or stores using? Similar to scope 1, right? And finally, scope 3, this is a huge, huge problem, and a place where everyone is struggling. Very huge organizations are trying to do this. And increasingly, there are new regulations required. For a long time, this part was not that regulated, but more people there's more regulation coming up on scope 3. So people are really, really thinking about it. And this has to do with your supply chain, your value chain. Where do you get your products from? I keep using a salon, but if I'm a hairdresser, where do I get my products from? Where am I, or can someone tell me one of the businesses they run in the chat, maybe, so that I can walk through that example? But yeah, but where am I getting my goods from? And obviously, if I go out to the open market in Balogun, for example, to buy goods, I don't know where those people got their goods from. So you can easily see how that's a problem. So if there's carbon emission in that value chain, I really don't know, right? Or maybe you can guess, but you really can't track it, because the idea of this GHG protocol is to track your emissions, record them, measure them and put them down, so that as an organization, we can say, this is how much carbon I'm putting into the atmosphere. So you can see how scope 3 emissions become very, 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 very difficult to track. So yeah, but that's an overview of it. The Greenhouse Gas Protocol is a website. You can go to it. Carbon Trust is actually made for SMEs. You can actually go to their website and fill out a form, and they help you estimate your carbon footprint. So that's something you can do. And then there are other reporting standards, and some of this by 2025, a lot of these are going to start, particularly the SASB and the European ISSB. They're going to start judging companies on, they are going to be required to do their sustainability reporting. And so this is something that you should know. Previously, the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosure has been the biggest one, but they've now merged with SASB. Most people know of that one. Then there's the Global Reporting Initiative. So they measure third-party sustainability and social impact. And these are some other, B Corp is a certification. So you've done all these things and you think you're great, you're asked to be certified as a B Corp. I think that's really for US organization, but in essence, it helps you unlock capital. And this is what I'm saying about the governance aspect of this. Imagine if you were trying to get out a loan and they're asking you these things. to give you those loans. So I think it's important to be aware of them, to start thinking about them, to start thinking of your business in this context. And if you're yet to start a business, start thinking about, because there are two ways, right? You can be sustainable. Your business model can be sustainable. So from the conception of the business, I'm thinking through a sustainability solution, what's local, what the environment needs. And I'm thinking of my business and customers and creating my business with sustainability in mind. And some of the case studies we're going to look at, that's what they've done. But if you've already started your business, you now have to think, okay, how can I reduce my carbon footprint? Where can I measure? What can I be tracking? What can I do more efficiently? And that's how all this comes together in terms of governance for existing companies. So I'd like to stop here again for any questions, and then we'll just briefly go through some of the case studies, and then I'll do one more explanation of what to think about, and then we can have a general Q&A. Let me see.
Okay. Thank you, Adinaka, for that presentation again. I just wanted to know, at least for my own, before the audience would, of course, include their questions in chat box. Apart from beyond the carbon trust and the GHG protocol, is there any other tools that MSMEs in Nigeria can use to assess and reduce their carbon footprint? Apart from these two, do we have any other tools?
So the thing with sustainability, I have to say, it's still very developing, right? So there you can see there are measures happening, there are tools coming up. So they're different. I know there's some, and I can get this to you after the session. There's some companies in Nigeria helping with those tools and providing particularly tailored for African SMEs and startups, right? But it's more about being aware of what you're tracking and starting to measure them, right? If I have two cars, or let's say I have two kekes as my business running around, what time are they on the road? What's the carbon emission of a typical keke? What kind of fuel is he using? And they are calculating, those are engineering calculations. So that's why oftentimes the tools available out there, they're estimation tools. They're not like, oh, to the letter, it's going to ask you a series of questions like how many cars are in your fleet? How many times do you use air travel in the course of doing business? How long is your commute? Where do your customers come from? And in asking all those questions, it estimates what carbon footprint your organization is likely having. So as you can imagine, it's very, very different for different businesses and different companies.
Okay, thank you very much for that list.
Someone is asking me, do fish farmers produce carbon and how? So you have a pond, you're using water. How are you using, are you going from, sustainable agriculture is a whole thing, which involves like not disrupting the agricultural ecosystem and trying your best to stick to the natural agricultural environment as possible. But if you're a fish farmer and you have a pond, for example, like in the course of creating that pond, how are you running your water? Are you cleaning out your ponds? What kind of feed are you using? If you're a farmer, what kind of fertilizer are you using? Are you using urea versus other like organic or natural based fertilization system? You've heard about organic farming. what kind of processes are in place to restore the land. So it's very different for different people. And like I already said, carbon is already a natural part of the atmosphere. Carbon is not the problem, it's excess carbon. Because already carbon has been produced for millennia in our atmosphere. But what has happened is that it's being produced at a rate higher than we've seen, and is causing climate patterns to change and shift. And that's what people are responding to. Okay, so I just want to finally go through just 3 case studies. Some businesses that in their very business model, they are sustainable. So the first one is Cold Hubs. So this is like a cooling, they help provide cooling with flexible pay using solar panels. I don't know if you can see the pictures well, but yeah, they installed solar powered cold storage. So they are off grid. They are not using fossil fuel in any way. And they run entirely on renewable energy, and they store perishable goods, offers flexible pay-as-you-go services. So you can see in their very model, they are thinking about the environment, they are thinking about social well-being, they are thinking of communities, and so that by itself is sustainable. So what this has done is drastically reduce harvest loss for farmers and help increase farmers' income, because we know that if their goods are not perishing, rather they are selling, right? So they're not farming and then in all waste, and this company is also providing access to renewable energy in rural areas. So that's what I mean by this idea of sustainability. Something, many of the principles we imbibe, we're already doing it. So we don't want to start creating more, like making the problem bigger than it is. Like, while we want to be sustainable, there's still like small measures. And people will ask me like, I don't have money. How do I put all these sustainability things in place? And the answer is you need to start with the low cost versions, cost your waste. Look at your business, assess your business very well. How well do you even understand your business, and what's the I don't know if this will play, but this is just a video. This is a very interesting company. It's a Nigerian company. What they've done is, there's for generation, water hyacinth is a weed, and it disrupts a lot of waterways. And what they've done is harvest this weed and use it for weaving craft products like baskets, plants. And of course, nobody wants weeds. It takes care of, you're not manufacturing new material, you're using a material that already exists locally. You're working with people, you're employing people that normally wouldn't get jobs. You're working with local artisans, you're improving biodiversity. And this company, you can read all about it. They've gained a lot of international recognition for their work. But that's what I mean by, like, particularly for people yet to start a business, think about solutions that we all need and making it easy for the customer, right? What things are in our environment, and how can we make it sustainable? And finally, this is a tech company for the tech bros and tech sisters. But yes, Trigger Food, it's basically created a mobile platform, and they use predictive analytics this is a Kenyan company, to help reduce food waste. So you can see that they're thinking about sustainability, reducing waste, what kind of transportation they're using, how can they do it quickly and efficiently. And this has improved food security and farmer incomes and, post-harvest losses, similar to cold hops, right? So, and finally, this is where I'd like to end. How can you make your MSc ESG aligned? I think I've been saying it throughout the presentation that you start by assessing your business. What exactly am I doing? What is the baseline? Where are the carbons, where the carbon concentrated parts of my business, and what do I want to do about it? Then you can decide, I want to make my operations greener. I want to buy things from respectable vendors. I want to work with vendors to say, hey, this is also good for you. Can you not source from people that certain places? How can I train my staff to understand this thing and look out for this when they are doing business? And then finally, when you've developed your strategy, you want to implement it and then track it. And this again is where I keep talking about governance, being able to properly communicate. And I know businesses often don't want to work on reporting. They find this a burden, but it's ultimately beneficial for you because it's, like I said, it's a very easy way to unlock capital. Being my background, you cannot know how many businesses people have declined because of inadequate reporting, or they don't know how to track what they've done. So start early, track these things, monitor them, and if you can, get a certification. And I'm sure this is also where government can help you with pointing you to the right certifications and helping you access the right ratings as an organization, and getting you engaged with other stakeholders. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Odinaka. Please, can we give her a round of applause wherever you are? I'm clapping here. So you can just do a show of hands to show you're clapping wherever you are. Yes, thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation. Now we're on to the Q&A segment, although we've had a couple of questions along the way, which I think it's a very beautiful idea. So at least it helps you to engage more with the audience, not just talking. So that's really, really impressive. But if you have any other questions, please include it in chat box. If you have any questions for our facilitators or any other question generally, as it relates to climate change and its impact on our businesses, please do include in the chat box. While we're waiting for that, like I did mention earlier, Odinaka, I did mention that charity begins at home. And I'm just here reflecting that in terms of we as an organization, how can LSCTF and as well as other organizations, how can they support MSMEs in adopting this sustainable practices and transitioning to a low carbon economy? What can we do better?
Well, if this is the talks of this are not already in place, I can see even a question here, and they're asking for training. So maybe creating a session where we can go blow by blow, how to measure these climate emissions, what tools. Like I mentioned earlier, I had said that after the session, I can follow up with that, like what are the tools available for tracking, and just having a full session to understand how this can easily be tracked for startups, like simple tools. Something I didn't go into in the presentation, but there's this notion of, I don't know if people have heard of carbon market. So sometimes if you're doing things right, you can actually buy credits. And these are valuable in the carbon marketplace. So that's something that is coming up, and it's not fully developed again, but this is something that will become useful, especially as the future is moving to be more carbon free.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. There's a question in the chat box from Wahab Kazum. It said climate change, business activities, and sustainable development. What is the relationship between them?
So they are not all the same, and that's kind of why I was trying. So business sustainability is all about, and I think I went through this in the slide, right? It's all about enhancing your performance and making sure in the long run you can continue to be in existence, right? I think there was a slide where I talked about this. Yeah, practices of running a business without negatively impacting the environment, society, or the economy. That's what any business is trying to achieve anyway, unless you're doing fraud. So every normal business aims to be sustainable. But being that we have this carbon problem and this environmental problem, now, what does it mean to be a good business? It means you also care about your environment. It means you want to reduce your carbon where possible. So when you ask sorry, I'm trying to go back to the question. How are they different? So yeah, what is the relationship? So we know that climate change is happening. Even if we don't, you can't be naysayers on the science, we see it. We know that climate of what it was 10 years ago is not necessarily what we're seeing now. And we know we have to do business. We have to create solutions, products, and services. And while knowing all these things, how do you do your business? That's where sustainability enters the question, right? So how am I going to manage my business in this current atmosphere, knowing that all these things are happening and knowing that I want my business to be stable, flexible, responsive? What am I going to do? And these are the tools that I'm giving today. Please comment if that answers your question. That's really the relationship.
Hi, Wahab. Does that answer the question? Okay. While we're waiting for, okay, yes,
Yeah, I
responded.
see some. I'm looking through the Q&A. Someone asked, will a company that runs on CNG for their generator be able to qualify for climate financing? You know, it depends. It depends on who's giving out the financing and why you're using CNG, right? That's a bit cleaner than your regular generator. But some people will say no carbon. So it depends on who you're speaking to. You may or may not qualify. But again, I don't think it's about rushing to put in the latest trend. It's about sitting down to evaluate your business, understand your business, understand what you can do, create a transition plan. Many of you may have heard of net zero targets. Many companies have this targets that they put out there, their goals, which is to become net zero in the long run, and they create a transition document for that. So again, it's going to be different for each business.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Odnaka. I know Wahab has responded that answers his question, so we're good on that.
Felicia has her hand raised. Maybe if she can I don't know if she can unmute herself, or if you can unmute her, or maybe she can just put her question in the chat.
Okay. I think we can unmute her for a second. Or she can just type in her question. Hi, Felicia. There's a Q&A box. Just type in your question. We'll see it and would answer it, okay? All right, thank you. There's a question for you, Odnaka. So she said, from Fego Onowori, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I'm not. She said, hi, Odnaka. So far, this has been enlightening. I'm interested in starting up a sustainability brand, but I'm not sure how to go about it. My question is, can you give a guide on how to start up something like this?
So I'm not sure what you mean by sustainability brand. Like you just want to start a brand that promotes sustainability. I don't think that's what you mean. I think what you're trying to say is you want to start something, but you want it to be sustainable. So the question is, what are you passionate about? What do you want to start? What kind of service is it? Because like I've been trying to say over here, any business can be sustainable. It's the principles like of which you started with and how you manage it that make it sustainable, right? Or sustainability aligned.
Okay.
But yes, you can always start a brand that promotes sustainability, that talks about sustainability. Is that what your customers want? Is that what you're passionate about? But yes, I'm happy to, get an email about it and talk more if you like. But
Okay. There's a question from VQ, who I think we've treated as during the course of the presentation. The question was, using case study analysis, kindly share strategy toolkits, guidelines to adopting ESGs and sustainability principles in our business.
Yes, yeah, we mentioned it, but I'd like to say again that you can be sustainable in your business model. So the very model itself is being generated with sustainability in mind. And that's kind of the examples I've shown. But there's also a question of, I've already started my business. Now, how can I make it more sustainable? So what are the practices I can adapt? And for each of those, it will be different. Someone like Fego who's thinking about starting something, here's a chance for her to put in sustainability from the beginning by creating a company that solves a problem that's sustainable, right? And then in terms of toolkits, I mentioned GHG protocol and carbon trust. And they're even more tailored one, but the important thing is starting to track them. Again, carbon reporting is more about estimating and, understanding what your operations are and measuring the exact carbon footprint. So it looks different from different people. And then we can have future lessons down the line on how exactly to use these tools that we won't be necessarily covering in this session. But yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Raphael is asking, is there any physical training for the participants of this Zoom meeting? Thank you, Raphael, for that question. So, like, based on my question with Odinaka, so she did explain that we can have training sessions on this just to enlighten people more about this whole conversation. So it's something we are looking into. So definitely we are still coming back. I don't know if Odinaka will still be our facilitator. We can try. But definitely, this is a really interesting topic that we want to have a physical training session on this so people can learn more. So because I've seen that over time, people are more about financial sustainability, just our finances and everything. But we need to start talking about climate. We need to start talking about the circular economy. These are conversations we need to start having now. So definitely, it's something we can still work on. So thank you very much for that. Do we still have any more questions? In the meantime, there is a poll on the screen. So you see the poll on the screen. It states, how satisfied are you with this session? What essay program would you want to benefit from? At the beginning of this session, I already made mention of some of our initiatives. So which one would you be interested in? So kindly fill out the poll and we'll get your answer, because this will enable us to actually serve you better. How can we do better? So that is what we're putting this here. But it's been nice having Odinaka here. Like, it's been amazing. Odinaka, has the session been for you?
It has been very rewarding. I hope I've been able to introduce everyone a tiny bit to climate change and why that matters and why it's good business to be sustainable.
Thank you very much. Please, can we give another round of applause? And if we can say a big thank you to her for taking her time out, for doing this with us. Thank you very much, Odinaka. And we'd also like to say a big thank you to the LSCTF team, the Business Support Unit. Kudos to Fumi and Temitayo, and of course our director of programs, Swindamolegbeyemi. Shout out to you. Thank you very much for bringing this initiative, actually bringing this conversation. I was telling Odinaka yesterday that when the business point were like, oh, we're going to talk about climate change, I was looking at them like, huh? In my head, I'm like, come on, I'm a lawyer. What am I doing with climate change? I was like, huh? But honestly, this has been really fascinating. It has really been, and I see that there's a much bigger conversation that we need to have with regards to this. So I would like Odinaka at least just to, even if someone is joining us last minute now, what would you want as a key takeaway, something for them to take away from all these conversations?
Resilience plus adaptability is sustainable growth. No, but yes, you want to build. I think for me, the biggest thing is because sometimes climate change is politicized and people just move away from the principles or think it's this thing someone has come up with to make people's life difficult. And obviously, I obviously know that that's not true. And if there's one thing I want people to take away is that sustainability is good business. It reduces costs down the line. And I'm saying this as someone that studied accounting, as a chartered accountant. I care about profitability and pro-business, and good business is sustainable business. In the long run, it makes the environment better. It makes your business less prone to lawsuits. It unlocks capital for you. And it's just doing things well and thinking through all kinds of stakeholders. So yeah, that's the main thing.
Thank you very much. And something just came to me. We're talking about businesses. What about individuals? What's that key takeaway for them? For as an individual who's not into business, what do you have to say to them?
Yes, it's very different for individual, which is why I say this idea of being adaptable. So we all have a part to play. And obviously this session was focused on small businesses. There are also things that big corporates have to do, but as individuals, we need to focus on I think it starts with the awareness, right? And then you start thinking of your life, even taking a bus versus driving, that's you being sustainable, right?
Yeah.
Because you're saving the cost, the carbon emissions there. Where do you get your products from? What are they packaged in? Are you thinking about recycling? Can you drink from a bottle or a cup versus going to buy another plastic bottle? So those are things that individuals have to think through when they want to be sustainable by themselves. It's just the same thing. Thinking about your carbon footprint, where your clothes coming from. Do you need that new clothes? So no, I don't. So you can see how that will be different for each individual depending on their comfort level. But it's truly thinking about every single thing you're doing from the time you stand up from your bed to the time you sleep at night, and how you're participating in that carbon cycle and what can you remove.
Thank you very much, Odinaka. Thank you so much. It's been a really impactful session. And I like the fact that we also made mention of an individual, because even apart from your business, you also still have your role to play as an individual. So we're all working together as one. So business, individuals, what role do you have to play? How can you also make sure that the climate is safe? How can you make sure that your waste, your recycling, how are you doing it? How are you recycling your waste? I also want to make mention that in Lagos State now, I know we have the Office of Circular and Climate Change. They've been really amazing in terms of, they've been really, really amazing. I know there was this Eco Circulate sensitization launch that was introduced. I think that was last month or so, sometime in September or so. So it was really a nice, because people were bringing out their waste. You can bring in your bottles and all these things to recycle them, and then they pay you. So it was achieving two purposes, basically. They were paying people and they were also recycling. So that's really, really, really something that I wish everyone would incorporate. So even down to your homes, Do you have a waste bin, the one for recyclables and plastics and the likes? Do you have the one for your normal debts? How are you disposing of your bins? So we all have a role to play, each and every one of us. So that is what we want you to take away from here. And in terms of the physical training, of course, we'll try as much as possible to have one here. I know there was a poll on the screen on how you've heard about LSCTF. I'm sure some people have feel that, but we want to say a big thank you to everyone. Odinaka, we can't thank you enough for this. And would love, hope whenever we invite you again, you'd come back on the show or on the program.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.